Hello, my name is Lamerck, and welcome to the Naval Sports League. For our first-time watchers, the Naval Sports League, or NSL, is the ultimate naval competition in the game of Holdfast Nations at War. League battles are simple. Two teams, each led by a single admiral, pilot 5 large capital ships and 2 small support boats, with the goal of sinking as many capital ships as they can within 35 minutes. Whoever sinks the most wins, and if there's a tie, we decide the winner by overall score. Teams consist of anywhere between 20 to 40 players, and the league provides mercenaries to balance out any number disparities between the teams. Every player in the league, be they a team player or mercenary, is competing hard for end of season awards and accolades. Every battle will take place on a randomly chosen map with randomly chosen wind direction. Both of these factors mean that no two battles will ever be the same. The league lasts for 9 months, from late February to November, with 3 to 4 games a month for you to enjoy. Once that main season is over, the top 3 teams of the league will duke it out to determine who wins the champion's crown. The NSL is a collection of Holdfast's most talented admirals, officers, and crews, and the tactical gameplay you'll see here is at a higher level than anything else this game has to offer. We hosts and co-hosts will be here for the entire battle to help you understand the decisions and strategies you'll see play out in the NSL Coliseum. So, without further ado, let's get to the pre-game coverage. I am joined today by Safe, my good friend and admiral from X, and from the team of the Leviathans. How you doing today, Safe?
Still a little sore from last week's victory. That was I was having palpitations after that.
Yeah, that was a wonderful battle, and I think everybody really enjoyed watching it. And congratulations to you and the team for a great victory on that one, and to the Krakens for an exceptional battle, really all around. Let's take a look at the league standing, Safe, starting off with that, and then we'll take it from there. So we've got the Leviathans on top, thanks to some of your hard-won efforts at a 6-0. Sorry, I'm looking at the wrong one. At a 6-0 with 95,716 points. That's a great just points total. We're not anywhere near the Leviathans having another team that are going to put those points into play. And remember, folks at home, points really only come into play if 2 teams have the same win-loss record. So that said, it just really goes to show how great the Leviathans have been doing this season, if I do say so myself, as a team head role for the Leviathans. But coming up right behind is the Krakens with a 4-2 record with a great 24,000 points as well. The SCP38s 2-2, Royal Black Fleets 2-3, Jackals 2-5, and the Marines with a 1-5 at the bottom. So we're really thinking about this in an upper bracket, lower bracket scenario now that we've announced the fact that there are going to be finals for the top 3 teams and finals for the bottom 3 teams. It's really the interplay at the middle that's really going to determine how these 2 brackets shape up and turn out. Today, we're going to be watching the SCP-38s and the Royal Black Fleet. We are looking at the just straight middle of this overall league standings board, and so we'll be very excited to talk a little bit later about what those 2 teams have at stake today. But let me pass it over to you, Safe. Tell us a little bit about the player leaderboard.
Okay, so for our top 5 players in the league thus far, we have Spicy Paper at the top. We have followed by Verita, Scorrigan, Daniel Franklin, and Shadow. Now, what's interesting about Spicy Paper and Franklin is they're both SCPs and they are going to be playing today. And so depending on how this match goes, they may very well lose their spots because these average scores are almost less than 100 points within each other across the board. And the KDs are close as well in some regards. So this could very easily get shaken up based on who's on what team and how they play today.
Really goes to show you, though, the level of talent that these 2 teams have, the second and third teams in the league, that their top players are just, I mean, there is motion here in this player leaderboard, but it has also, in ways, been extremely consistent over the past few weeks. And so, it's like Spicy Paper and Verita have just been dominating for a long time here, along with many of the others. Really, it's Dan Frank. He's the real new guy on the scene in the player leaderboard. Is that right?
Yeah, he's jumped up recently and knocked Shadow out of his number 4 spot.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. All right, let's move on to the side-by-side. Today we are watching the SCP-38s fight the Royal Black Fleet. They are each admiral, the SCP-38s by Muffin Top Scout, and the Royals by Gilly. These are just 2 admirals that these teams have realized can produce victories and can produce the results that they're looking for. I think these are great choices for admirals. Their season record is 2-3 and 2-3. So the all-time matchup is 1-0 and 0-1. So that is to say the SCPs have beaten the Royals one time. And the top player, Spicy Paper, Dan Frank, B Bobby 123 on the SCP side, and for the Royals, Gilly, Splunker K, and Mr. Death. These are all just really great players. You're going to see them all represented on like the tops of the leaderboard, more than the top five, of course. And the ones to watch today, we got BB Bobby 123 and Shum from the Royals. So we like to take a moment here to make a case for why each of these guys are going to win. I think, Safe, you had said that you wanted to do the Royal. So I'll start first with our SCP-38s, and then you could tell us about the Royals. The SCP-38s are a team that have undergone a recent transformation. They have added the HLG regiment, and I'm trying to think who the other regiment is. Remind me if you remember.
It's number 16, NR22, and recently they added the VOC.
VOC and HLG, right? Okay, thank you. VOC. I don't know why. And they always have had the Seven Push with them as well as a sort of minority member. Uh, this is a ton of regiments on one team, and not just a ton of random regiments. These are a ton of really good regiments. VOC is a somewhat newcomer to the naval scene, but they have had a huge impression, and they've done a really great job in battles. HLG has always been a great team, and were part of one of the most successful teams in the preseason last year. So the SCP-38 has the building blocks of an incredible superstar team. It is reflected in, like, not only have they already achieved third place, but now with this addition, they just have to sort of integrate these guys. And that's what I'm waiting to see from them, is the integration and the ability for this team to really just run like a well-oiled machine. We know that teams that have fewer regiments that comprise them tend to have more focus, and that is shown because the top two teams of the league are single regiment teams, right? We have X, my regiment, that's the Leviathans. We have the KRN and KRA, that's the Krakens, right? And we say KRN, KRA, but they're really the same thing. It's just the KRN is the naval wing of the KRA. And so they're a monolith, and they have great results. But the SCP has really defied expectations by being a multi-regimental team that has nonetheless done a really great job. And a lot of that's to Muffin Top Scout and his really excellent admiraling. So I think they've got, with the addition of this power, so much to gain. And that's why I think that they're going to win. But Safe, you're going to tell us why you think the Royal Black Fleet is going to win.
Well, the RBF are known to be a bit of a wild card. You never really can make a solid plan or assume what it is they're going to do, because we've seen them be, more cautious and slow to advance on an enemy with their match against the Leviathans. While on the other hand, we've seen them go full send straight towards a defensive formation in their match against the Krakens. Now, unfortunately, in both of these instances, it did not work out. However, they did pull off a win against the Jackals, despite the fact that most assumed that the Jackals would win that match. And that was due to organization on the RBF's part, a little bit of disorganization on the Jackals' part, but the RBF performed beyond expectations in that match. And so I believe they've got it there somewhere. And against the SCP, they lost the last game against the SCP, and not by a large margin. It was less than 5,000 points. So I'm sure they're hoping to correct the record there and see if they can come out on top today.
Now, we talked a little earlier, Safe, about the stakes of this battle, but could you tell our audience a little bit more about what's on the line for these two teams today at the middle of the leaderboard bracket?
So, since both of these teams are right in the middle, both of these teams have huge gains to make today. If the RBF can pull a victory, they can knock SCP out of the top three and take the third spot. Though, if the SCP can win today, it puts them in a position where if they can get just one more victory, they may potentially take the second spot away from the Kraken.
Yeah. So this is actually one of the most important battles, I think, of this mid-season time that we're in right now, because we're now firmly past the mid-season, right? But week 18, of 30, we're not quite at the home stretch yet, and there is time for these teams to make big changes here. So I think, the SCP really have, again, they're just both punching up right now. They're both trying to punch up. And we will see how that goes. Let's take a quick look at the map. Um, and take a look at who it favors. And the answer to that is really the Royals here. The Royals have the open space and the wind favoring them. The SCP have the islands in front of them, and they have a somewhat negative wind in their favor. So we're probably going to see something from the Royals. Hopefully, what we see from the Royals is a use of that aggression capability that they have because of the wind and because of their open ability to cross open ocean. The SCP are going to be trying to use these islands as a impediment and see if they can't trap the Royals. And so this is the opportunity, Safe, you said before we started our broadcast, this whole battle depends on what version of these teams show up today. And I think that was basically the best way to describe it. Who are we going to see a confident Royals or a confident SCP-38, or are we going to see the SCP-38 that think more about a defensive positioning and the Royals with a hesitant opening that doesn't really give away too much? Like, it really depends on how these guys are feeling today. But if anything, I think recent matches have shown aggression is a good strategy, right? The Leviathan showed great aggression last week under your command. Before that, the Jackals versus the Marines, I think it was, where that was just crazy aggression all over the place, and it showed how aggressive strategies can create openings or create weaknesses in enemy team formations that can be exploited. Whereas defensive positions have their utility. I mean, as we saw last week, the Krakens damn near won with a defensive mindset. So it's not like that is not a viable course of action. But we're still seeing that the aggressors tend to take these battles more often than not. And so maybe that conventional wisdom could turn on its head. Maybe not. If you are one of these teams, Safe, how do you see this starting out?
Well, if I'm playing as the Royals in the open water, considering the fact that the wind is going to the southeast, which from their perspective is down and to the left, I would go southwest to begin and sort of take the upper section of the
Yeah.
Isles and then come screaming down on top of wherever it is the SCP set themselves. Because if the SCP try to sail to the western section of the islands, it gives the RBF a good chance to sort of come in real fast. Though if they go more to the east, it gives them more options to maneuver amongst the islands and potentially envelop the SAP formation.
Yeah, I agree with you. So, I mean, we are going to see how this plays out. It is it really should. I think this is going to be a very exciting battle. I'm really looking forward to a little bit of alpha action early on. I think the Royals are a team that if the circumstances are not great for them, they don't rush in. But this is a really good circumstance for the Royals. I'm hopefully optimistically predicting some aggression coming in from the Royal Black Fleet to start off with. I think the SCP are going to play a defensive game. I don't see any impetus for them to go charging across the map at this point. Um, and I think that they're going to end up going southwest to start off with and just trying to get as good of a wind as they can get and see where they can set up. But every time we make a prediction, these teams laugh on our faces and do something completely different. So I'm really, really excited to see how this goes. Um, any other thoughts before the battle begins, Safe, on these two teams, their competition, their admirals? I mean, one of the things I wanted to note, and I'll pass off to you in a second to talk more about this, is that Gilly is the admiral for the Royals, and he's sort of the steady hand admiral that they have as compared to some of their wilder admirals. So I feel like that's going to give him a little bit of a competitive advantage because of his sort of grasp on the strategy.
Um, well, I can also note their styles. If I recall correctly, Gilly is aboard the 13 gun at the
Mm,
helm, and Muffin is actually up in the sky watching overhead. I may be wrong, but I believe I saw somewhere. I am being told that I am correct.
yeah, I think you are.
So, on the one hand, uh, Gilly is going to be admiraling more so. I'd say if you're on the ground, you're admiraling from a more instinctive perspective. You're drawing upon previous experience and other events and other naval matches that you've played in the past, and sort of having that influence your decisions as you go. If you admiral from up in the sky, watching overhead, you tend to play more objectively, and in a way, it allows you to more literally draw on the map, like how is this going, and what's going to happen 2 to 3 moves from now.
Yeah.
And I think that perspective can very much be a winning factor.
Yeah, you yourself do your admiraling from the sky because you do a lot of your planning, with lines on a map and drawing out, what you do, and it's obviously worked tremendously well for you. And so, it's one of those things that I think it does give a team a tremendous advantage. You got to have somebody in the sky because otherwise the enemy's going to set things up on you, and you're not necessarily going to see them depending on the islands and the island cover. We're seeing right now a really heartening thing that I like, which is both teams basically going straight at each other. Um, this is a little bit to the favor of the Royals. They're going to have a little better wind. So as they come in from the right side of the overhead and they come towards the center, that is the Royal Black Fleet. They're on the green ships, and the SCP-38 on the yellow ships are coming in again a little bit slower, but still going forward. Now, what I'm noticing first off, and this is, I think you're probably seeing this as well, Safe, is the look of both of these fleet formations. The Royals have a much more organized looking fleet formation to start off with, and that may not matter right this second, but Safe, it is going to matter when they make contact. What do you think about that?
I'm trying to see what the SCPs are doing because they're almost a sort of V formation currently. If I didn't know any better, what I think they may be trying to do is set up a sort of defensive line to the northeast, facing that center gap where the Royals appear to be making a beeline for trying to get in there.
That's the dream for these maps, especially for these like island choke points, is to just, as a defender, pick a position where you know the enemy's going to come through and then just prepare yourself to hammer it as they come in. What happens next is unknown, but at least at that first meeting of your fleets, you're going to have some kind of advantage there. So it doesn't seem like the Royal Black Fleet is breaking off, but I may be speaking too soon. I think they might be. They might be going towards a lower one. Yeah. You can see the front of their fleet beginning to turn. That fleet is now turning southeast. It is going to basically use the wind it has and jet to cross in front of the SCP-38. Now, the SCP-38s are not without options here because they can go at half wind. They're going southwest, right? So they're going diagonally down to the right, while the Royals on the right side of the screen are going diagonally down towards the left. But, interestingly, Safe, it looks like the SCP are still going to be able to cover any area, any of those two middle choke points, because of at least their half wind, whereas the Royals are going to struggle to come through either of those unchecked.
Yeah, this is looking like it's going to potentially turn into a brawl with ships less than 200 meters apart.
Now, I was told that we have gunboats all around, so 2 gunboats on each team. We can see now that the Royal Black Fleet's gunboats are trying to circle around that central pill-shaped island, and it looks like they're just hanging out there, waiting for the action to start, and then I have a feeling they're going to deploy as soon as these capital ships begin exchanging fire and trying to go for the rear of the SCP ship formation. Which, by the way, say if the SCP-38s look like they have a really nice fleet formation at this point. They've really gotten it together.
Yep, they've got their line set up. They're ready to receive the Royals as they come in through the gap.
Yeah, they sure are.
It looks like the Royals might be shifting more eastern. They're going to go for a line battle, a very distant one at that. I may not even have range.
The angle of their line, this, and I'll draw on the screen for a minute just to kind of elucidate exactly what I'm talking about here. This diagonal shape compared to this straight shape is going to mean that these guys, if they get in range, are going to be able to hit this first 8-gun, and maybe the entire Royal Black Fleet is not going to be able to return fire. It's going to be a minor consideration at this point, but the SCP are in a better formation right now than the Royals. And the reason for that is that the Royals had a line that was heading basically across the center of the map, and then they turned that line, but they didn't snake their ships, and we could talk about what that means maybe in a ward room one day.
The lead, I believe the lead Royal 8-gun is taking fire a little bit.
Yeah, you can see him veering off at the front. He's backing up to get to his compatriots. What the Royals have done here that could be dangerous is their 13 gun is mixed amongst their 8 guns. You can see the SCP-38 are not making that decision, and that means that the SCP-38's 13 gun is probably going to be able to make like Hail Mary long shots at the Royals, but it's never going to really be in danger of any concerted HP damage to it, maybe except for the Royals 13 gun. But right now, I think this is much more flirtation safe between these two teams than it is like a really, a hardcore battle yet. I don't think a lot of damage is happening.
No. Though it appears the Royal gunboats are closing in on the rearmost 8 gun of the SCPs rapidly.
The question is, have they noticed? Their gunboats
Uh,
still seem to be kind of just hanging out with the fleet on the SCP-38 side, whereas the Royals are on the attack with their gunboats. I don't know if anybody's noticed from the SCP-38s yet.
Yeah, if I were those Royal gunboats, what I would be doing, considering that their enemy gunboats don't seem to have noticed, I would be targeting that rear 8 gun and trying to break the backboard and break those side walls, because those side walls provide ample cover for the cannons, and once those side walls get broken off, it is much easier for a stray cannonball to nick a gun and cause it to explode.
Absolutely. And you're hearing it. You're hearing it from the man himself around here, folks. This is our gunboat guy. So when he speaks on gunboats, listen. We are seeing some shots landing. I'm especially seeing some good concentration of fire from the SCP-38s and the yellow ships firing at that green 13 gun. The SCP-38's 8 guns are in range, I believe, of that 13 gun, or maybe they're a little bit off. It could be the. Let me see. I'm gonna track some shots here. It's more of the 13 gun that's hitting, but there is damage being put into that Royal Black Fleet 13 gun. And you could see that the captain there is getting a little worried about the damage that they're taking, and he is going to try and get his 13 gun a little bit out of that regular range. We'll call it regular range, the 8 gun range, right? But this is really nice. I mean, this fire over the island is a very interesting, thing. It's preventing some of the 8 guns from doing their straight shots. All right, I am now seeing safe. I am seeing the beginning signs of actual HP damage on the Royal Black Fleet's 13 gun. And I think it spooked them a little bit here. I don't think this is what they wanted.
Yep, they're flipping out to the north, trying to, because I think they've realized that they may not have the better. Ooh, there's an explosion. They don't have the better end of this battle right now. So rather than just keep engaging in a situation that they don't have the upper hand, they're deciding to, in a manner of speaking, reshuffle the deck and reset the engagement.
Now, you're a gunboat guy. Do you, in a situation like that, do you think that the strategy here should be that the Royal Black Fleet should withdraw their 8 guns? I mean, not 8 guns. I'm sorry, gunboats. So that doesn't happen. What we just saw, which is an explosion on one of the 8 guns. I keep saying 8 guns. One of the gunboats. Like, once the action stops between the two main fleets, do you think it's a good idea to take your gunboats and just get them the heck out of there so they don't get just turned upon by every enemy capital ship?
Well, in this current situation right now, the gunboats are well engaged on each other. Now, unfortunately, that one gunboat, I'm pretty sure, has lost its main gun. Let me see.
Yeah, one of the Royal Black Fleets have lost their main gun. I saw a big explosion from an HLG shot.
That is their gunboat down.
Yeah.
So now that lone Royal gunboat is outnumbered. If they could just identify which gunboat it was that they exploded and get him out of there quickly, so that the fight, instead of a 2v1, it's a 1v1. And by the looks of it, it looks like they're going for the healthier gunboat. On the other hand, the other SCP gunboat has lost its main gun, so they don't necessarily need to pay him as much attention.
Yeah, but barely any at all, really.
That being said, those swivels, if the gunner knows how to aim a swivel gun, can very easily take out that cannon. Although I think that's the least of that gunboat's worries, as those 2 rear 8 guns have turned in to just rip it to pieces.
Yeah, it seems like the whole fleet's coming about, so I think his time is numbered on that ship there. So we are at a bit of a lull as far as the capital ships at this point. Both teams are turning away from each other and repositioning. Now, let's talk about what the wind is like. I will draw on the screen just to remind you all what we're talking about, but the wind is going this way. So these guys who are swinging around here are about to engage in the neutral wind. These guys, if they swing around this way, are going for the worst wind possible, right? So actually, this benefits the Royals. This break benefits the Royals in a speed way. They are going to be able to get to where they want faster than the SCP-38 are going to be able to get to where they want. And that is, of course, the benefits of being, of having the wind in your corner in the very first place. Now, it makes sense for the SCP-38s to turn away in the direction that they did, because at the end of the day, if they were to get really close in, and like chase after the Royal Black Fleet, they would have just terrible wind doing so. So might as well have the terrible wind very far away from these, than having it very close. But even still, the Royal Black Fleet is going to be able to set up on them if they can get their fleet together pretty quickly.
Yeah, they're gonna need to move a little faster. I don't like seeing the 13 gun out in the front there.
Yeah, it's the 13 gun goes faster when it has the wind, but it goes devastatingly slower when it doesn't have the wind. The only consolation for the Royal Black Fleet is that the SCP-38s are even more discombobulated on their side, and their 13 gun is about to go through the slowest possible wind. And we've said it before on this. We've said it before as hosts. You are only as fast as your slowest ship, unless you're willing to leave that ship behind. And we're going to see if the SCP are willing to leave their 13 gun behind, because the Royals are very quickly gathering themselves together for a aggressive push towards the SCP. It looks like the Royals have reunited with their gunboats. I don't know if it is 2 gunboats that are coming out right now, but their gunboats are safe to rejoin the fleet for a second crack at the SCP-38. So
They're bringing out one of their rocket boats.
yeah, not a surprise, I think, at this time. I think what's going to happen is the Royals are going to, and again, I'll draw on the screen a little bit and just kind of show you what I mean. I think the Royals are going to kind of go here and then come in this way. And that is, again, with the wind being like this, it's about as good of an attack as you can get. And maybe they'll kind of more go this way and fire down in this direction. But yeah, that's about as good of as an opportunity as you can get here. And those gunboats, or a rocket boat, is going to be able to just careen into an enemy ship and hopefully deposit some carpenters on it and do a little bit of that boarding action. It all depends on what the SCP-38 can do in this next about, I'd say, 2 to 3 minutes of play, of how organized they can get and where they decide to make their stand, because they can't go far safe before they have to set something up to receive the enemy, because they're coming fast.
Yep, and it looks like they're attempting to reset their defensive line, except now they're going to be facing west this time.
Yeah.
So if they hold that course, though, the Royals are going to get the upper hand in terms of the wind.
I don't know if there's a real situation in which the SCP can gain the win for themselves. It's kind of like they have to play in bad wind for a lot of this, again, because of the speed of their 13 gun. They just can't leave it behind, and yet they also can't really jet ahead, right? So they're really kind of screwed either way here. They have to think defensively, and I think they are. I mean, they're showing their teeth right off the bat. We are going to shoot. And the Royals putting their 13 gun at the lead of their line is kind of giving them the best opportunity to do some real and significant damage to the enemy fleet.
Well, it would seem the rocket boat has eliminated that crippled SCP gunboat from before.
All right, this is the point of contact. I mean, this is where things are going to be decided here for this battle. I think from here on out, we are going to see majorly a line battle between these two fleets. And the question is, did the Royals putting their 13 gun at the head of their fleet, is that going to end up being a mistake for them? And I want to see if the SCP continue to use their strong doctrine of keeping their 13 gun out of harm's way, or if they leave it to get hammered by these rearmost 8 guns in the Royal Black Fleet.
I think if the Royals continue this course, they're going to have a serious problem. what I might honestly suggest here for the Royals, because the wind is southeast, which is straight towards where they are now, I would have those two A-guns that are right next to it, sort of trying to shield it, just turn straight towards that 13 gun and their line and just begin to reduce the amount of fire coming their way. Because if that 13 gun gets eliminated towards the beginning, it gives them a sense of comfort, and that 13 gun will just begin to rip apart any 8 gun that tries to challenge it.
Yes, I totally agree with you. And you could see the defensive maneuvers that they're doing here. 13 gun is hiding behind its 8 guns. It's trying to get the pressure off of it, but it's losing cannons. It's taking damage. Yikes, yikes, big cannon explosions. And it's down to half HP at this point. This is very, very, very bad for the Royal Black Fleet because there is almost no damage on the other side to counterbalance this very stunning turn of events here. The Royals felt a lot of confidence, obviously, that the wind was in their favor, but the SCP understands defensive tactics. They understand that you need to have your line ready by the time the enemy gets to you, and they certainly did. And that means that the SCP is very likely to take out this 13 gun, and they're focusing fire tremendously well on it, ignoring the 8 guns and going towards the victory condition. Sink the 13 gun and then take care of the rest. And it is very obvious that's what's happening. I'm seeing that the Royal Black Fleet is trying to do their best to mimic that focus fire, but their angles just don't seem to be working, or their cannoneers are just not hitting because the 13 gun on the SCP-38s is just not whittling down as fast as they need it to. Safe, I think this is a situation in which the Royals 13 gun is so beaten down and it's got lost so many cannons that its additional firepower, which really makes the difference in these battles, is not able to be brought to bear to whittle down the SCP-38's 13 gun fast enough. What are you seeing here?
Well, about a minute earlier, I just saw the friendly Royal rocket boat send a stray rocket that, due to its chaotic course, it ended up flying into the friendly gunboat and killing one of the crew members on board.
Oh, God.
That being said, of course, it looks like they're trying to take the Royals, that is, trying to take their 13 gun away. It has, at this point, no health left, but I believe this is a case of too little, too late, and there it goes. It's dead. And now it's not looking good. It's not looking good.
Yeah, it's not looking good. The SCP have really turned this defensive position on its head and really brought out a beautiful offense. The Royals now have to fight for their lives. Every single ship needs to be pounding that 13 gun with no exceptions. And yeah, they've really, I mean, they've only almost got it to half.
Something interesting is, though, developing. Those lead Royal 8 guns are about to cut off the SCP 8 guns. Now, either those SCP 8 guns are just going to sail right through the Royals, or they're going to have no choice but to turn port to match their line and sail straight into the island.
I honestly love what the SCP-38s are doing because they're saying, I like 8 guns, I can lose an 8 gun. I've got my 13 gun at good health. It's firing from a long distance. It's not in too much danger. Like they are willing to embrace the chaos here so long as their 13 gun is safe. This is the kind of strategy I really, really, really admire. Though that first 8 gun's got to cut its square sail. I don't know why it's got that square sail up. But, I mean, really, it's going to get messy, and messy is the last thing that the Royal Black Fleet needs right now because they need focus fire on the enemy 13 gun, and they need it now. Whereas it seems that the SCP-38 are saying, we don't care if you damage our 8 guns. As long as our 13 gun is alive and well and able to just land shots, then we are comfortable. They are, however, clearly going around this island, it seems. Maybe they're going to cut their sails here. Maybe they're just finding the right position for themselves. But yeah, this could get pretty crazy. The question is, really, does the 13 gun go down, or does it remove itself from the battle? And wow, look at those D-masts. Are you seeing this, Safe?
Yeah, that's there. It seems that the Royals are having the upper hand of the boarding. This poor 8 gun has just been completely demasted.
Wow.
And I wouldn't be surprised if we see another mast go down on one of those ships any moment now.
Wow. With the 13 gun now taking itself out of the battle for at least the next, I don't know, 30 or 40 seconds, it really could be a point for the Royals to turn this around. If they disable enough of these 8 guns and then bring all of their 8 guns straight to, I guess, the south-southwest. So I'll draw on the screen here and talk about what I'm talking about here. If they can set up a line here and just get non-stop focus fire at this 13 gun, if they can get these 8 guns there, this could be a moment where they crush the 13 gun in one fell swoop, and the leader of the 13 gun on the SCP-38s may regret the decision to take himself isolated into this isolated situation. But they've got to get like 2 or 3 8 guns in here, and they've got to ignore. They've totally got to ignore the SCP-38's 8 guns at this moment. We'll see if they have it. Let's see if they can do it.
Yeah, because in a manner of speaking, if they just sail away from that, essentially what is now a battle barge, it's as good as sunk, in the sense
Absolutely.
that it's not going to be able to contribute to the ongoing battle whatsoever.
And they have a lot of time to do it. We have like 13, 14 minutes left in this battle, so they can sink the 13 gun and then turn around and finish the rest of what is actually a very battered SCP-38 fleet. At this point, the teams are fairly equivalent when it comes to 8 gun HP damage. They just got to take that 13 gun out. I just don't think that 2 8 guns is going to be the force enough to do so. I think that 13 gun is going to wreck those two. But there's a DMAS. There's another DMAS on another SCP-38 8 gun.
Oh, and the other one go down too.
Double DMAS. God, wow. This is an incredible boarding action. You know, you got to say that the Royals are just boarding the hell out of these ships.
Yeah, that
They
was
just gotta get more 8 gun action out there.
Yeah, that was a Royal gunboat that they were tangoing with there.
Wow, really nice, really nice. It's unfortunate that the other 2 Royal Black Fleet 8 guns are so tangled up in their individual battles, especially. And I'm going to draw on the map for a second. But this 8 gun right here, he's a real decider. He should be slipping up here right now to continue fire on this 13 gun over here. He does that, this 13 gun goes down very quickly, and I think the Royals have a serious chance of winning this battle. Unfortunately, he is not. Instead, he's tangling with some ships that could never catch up to him if he left, and taking the worst of it. He is completely surrounded. He's got two gunboats and an 8 gun on him, and the battle barge that's right next to him, so that's a shame. It's a shame to see.
Yeah, those 2 Royal 8 guns, I hope they're locked in, because I believe what that 13 gun is going to attempt to do is bounce off the wall, pick up the wind, and try to run to the southeast.
He's in a very bad position. A very bad position.
Yeah, though I'd say he has the wrong angle. If he hits the wall now, he's going to get turned towards the 8 guns and take his gunners out of rotation.
I don't think he's going to continue forward. I think he's going to hold right here. I don't think he has a choice.
Yep. Yeah, either way, he's in a bad position, and he's got almost no help. The one 8 gun that just recently got demassed has turned its guns in rotation, although the Royal gunboat is tangoing with it and popping its cannons as it can.
I believe one of the ships that was firing at the 13 gun has now sunk. So it looks like the 13 gun has won its battle with the 2 8 guns, because you could see the other 8 gun is now trying to retreat. And basically, the Royal Black Fleet at this point has decided we have to give up on fighting the 13 gun. Instead, we have to win the battle of the 8 guns, and we'll deal with the 13 gun later, hoping that it's at low enough HP that they can kind of concertedly defeat it. But I don't see that happening. The SCP-38s haven't lost a capital ship yet, and their 8 guns are actually pretty healthy comparatively now, considering that the Royals have lost 2 of their capital ships. So that said, we say that, but of course the SCPs have capital ships that are demasted, 2 fully demasted 8 guns. So it's not out of the question that the Royals could find a position where those 2 demasted 8 guns can't do anything to them, and then they can, with 3 8 guns, bully the 2 remaining mobile 8 guns. I don't know. They're all so mixed in with each other, safe. I don't know that they're going to be able to get that positioning.
No, and that second 8 gun that was attacking the 13 gun is just taking a walloping. I've seen multiple explosions hit that ship.
Yeah, the 13 gun is really punishing it, and it's got 2 other ships on it at the same time. So I mean,
yep.
it really is every Royal 8 gun for itself right now, and that's not a strategy that's going to bring them to victory. And we're seeing their chances of victory just really starting to slip away here when you look at the HPs at the top. And it's a shame. It's a shame. They came in so strong, but their 13 gun sinking. It's always that 13 gun. When you lose it early, you're really out of luck.
Yep.
I mean, just take a look at that southmost Royal Black Fleet 8 gun. It has 2 battle barges on either side, 2 demassed ships shooting at it from either side, an 8 gun shooting at it from the rear, and 2 gunboats shooting at it from the rear. It is going to sink any second now, and once it does, that's really going to be all she wrote for the Royal Black Fleet's chances of victory here. And there it is. Absolutely gone. Can't believe it lasted that long, to be honest, under withering fire from the SCP-38s, the majority of the SCP-38's fleet.
Yeah, it's a testament to just how much health these ships have and the punishment they can take. Although unfortunately, there's not a whole lot you can do when you have 4 ships firing at you.
But the thing is that that ship had every opportunity to escape this situation, and it would have taken a lot of damage doing so, but not nearly as much damage as it took staying. And instead, it could have really changed the trajectory of this battle by helping to sink the 13 gun. And I think that's the big missed opportunity for the Royal Black Fleet here. It's just not focusing everything they had on that 13 gun. But you got to give it to the SCP-38. They did such a great job of sending all of their 8 guns just barreling into the side of the Royal Black Fleet's 8 gun line, and they just messed up any plans that the Royal Black Fleet were going to have for the rest of this battle. And I really think that was a decisive maneuver there. So, like, really a kudos to the SCP-38 for just being so ballsy and understanding when you can get hyper-aggressive on an enemy.
Yeah, the boardings are always highly deceptive. On the one hand, you know, the Royals demasted 2 of the 8 guns. However, that doesn't kill them. That doesn't take their guns out of the fight. They're still perfectly capable of contributing to the battle. They may not be as maneuverable, but at the end of the day, if it's still got cannons to fire, it can contribute.
I'd much rather a ship that had no sails and all of its cannons than a ship that had all of its sails and no cannons. That's for sure. And so, you know, unless they took the battle away from these demasted ships out of their range, they were still going to be an active part in the battle, like you said. I think, you know, what we're seeing here now is the Royals kind of getting that like last gasp of life. They're down to 1 ship, 1 capital ship, and it's lost a mast, and it's kind of a sitting duck between a lot of cannons that are all firing on it. And we're going to see, I think, the SCPs win a battle without losing a single ship. And that is not what I expected halfway through this fight. Not at all.
Well, they did lose a gunboat, but that being
Well,
said,
yes,
it's
a capital ship. I'm sorry, you're right.
yeah. Yeah, that 8 gun's down to a single cannon on its starboard side. That's all it has.
Well, that single cannon is doing a little bit of work, but not enough. Not nearly enough.
Actually, no, it's got 1 on each side.
Oh,
But
look at that.
that being said, it's only a matter of time before each of those gets popped.
If the ship doesn't go down before they do, which it's threatening to do as we speak. The 13 gun's on it. It's on it, and it's pounding it from the rear, which is a terrible place to get hit. So for those of you who are not aware of how Holdfast works, you know, the ships have HP pools in different parts of themselves, right? So the masts have parts of the whole ship HP, the siding, the furniture, we call it, the backboard, cannons, and their ability to destroy things around them are how these ships get depleted in HP. And so we're seeing this a total level of destruction on that ship right now, and it's going to be down any second. And there it is.
Goes.
The SCP-38 have won a victory. They have fully depleted the enemy's capital ships, and they have not lost a single one of their own. And it seems, right, Safe, they only lost 1 gunboat or rocket boat throughout the entire battle. That is a 20,000 point difference between the 2 teams. A pretty conclusive victory for a team that did not start off with many advantages in wind or positioning, but they really just played a defensive game. And I am so proud of the SCP-38 for what a great defensive game that they played. Safe, what's your takeaway from this battle?
Well, it seems what we're seeing here today is the SCP have put themselves in a position to take the 2nd spot away from the Kraken. That being said, if they can take 1 more victory in their next match.
And if the Krakens don't take a victory of their own, which would push them just consistently, you know, like just staying 1 ahead. But yeah, what a great battle. And it really shows, you know, that, yeah, the SCP deserve to be in the top half of this bracket. They are an incredible team. They really put all their pieces together today. And, it was a beautiful thing. I mean, that was a great defensive game. That was a great defensive game. And then as soon as the enemy got really aggressive on them, they turned the tables and they got really aggressive on the enemy and just disrupted everything. So, just my hats off to them for just a really, really phenomenal game here. And let's see if we have some of these guys with us at this point. We'll get the admirals in here very, very soon. But yeah, I think this was a tough loss for the Royal Black Fleet. I think they had a lot of advantages going into this. Safe. What would be the thing that you would say the Royal Black Fleet needed to do here that they didn't to win this?
I think the issue, the one thing they really ran into problems was when they went through that gap to confront the SCPs once they had turned away, was
Hmm.
the 13 gun being front and center
Right.
for everything to shoot at it.
Yeah. That taking 13 guns as the point ship is always a very big gamble, and today it did not work out for them. Definitely. So yeah, I mean, and that did seem to be the turning point of today's battle. I mean, in the first brush they each had, I think their 13 gun took a little bit of damage, but it was nothing. It was nothing major. It was just a little bit of, just probably deck damage. The enemy shots just kind of lobbing over that island and dropping on the deck, and that's not going to do too much in the grand scheme of things. But yeah, from that moment on, it seemed that the SCP really had control over the situation, and that's really how it ended up going. All right, so it looks like we have some folks with us here. I am looking for 2 representatives from each team, and no more than 2 representatives from each team, because we do only have a limited amount of time to be talking here after this battle. We have, I see Muffin Top Scout, Muffin from the SCP, and um, sir, welcome and congratulations on a phenomenal victory in a map and a wind direction that did not favor your team to start off with. So tell us a little bit about how this victory came together for you.
Yeah, well, first of all, it was a good fight to the RBF. You guys went down hard. You made us work for it, and that's what, we always want to see. Far better showing than my horrible plan last time we fought on this map. But at first, I want Dan here to bring it up because this is Dan's initial plan. So Dan,
Ooh.
take it out from the beginning.
Tell us all about your plan, Dan.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, we were kind of expecting the RBF to go through um the gap in the islands that was more towards the left. So they did kind of throw us off when we set up, but yeah, the initial plan was basically we wanted to kind of be closing off those choke points without overcommitting, because we tested before, and if we pushed too far into the middle, we were so exposed to them just wrapping around us and sticking us against the wind and shooting us in the back, basically. So yeah, I was kind of happy that we managed to keep ourselves relatively safe, but get in a nice range eventually,
Yeah.
and avoid what we had last match.
We've seen, I think the difference between the defensive mindset that you guys, because it was, these are 2 defensive games that you're referring to here, today's game and the previous one. But in the previous defensive game, it was a very stationary defense. Today's was a very active defense. You were constantly shadowing the enemy as they tried to find their way through those gaps in the island. And I think that's why you had so much success. You kept kind of preventing them from coming through. And when they finally did, you were there waiting for them. Talk to us a little bit about your gunboat strategy here today. What were you thinking as far as those were concerned? When you have a defensive mindset as a team, what do you want to do with your gunboats and rocket boats?
Yeah, so for this time around, the gunboats, I wanted to support the fleet and use them as once again as kind of like snipers, where they can move into a position at a decent angle and start picking them off, or at least start picking at the HP. But it did turn into a, hey, I want the gunboats to stay with us for the reason of I wanted to draw their boats in. I wanted to be able to support our boats with our mainline cannons to get that slight advantage of just, hey, we have 2 more cannons now, in a sense, with our main line. Deal with their boats so that their boats have to travel farther, and that will allow us to then start using them to maneuver behind the enemy formation, start sniping at the cannons, and just doing what gunboats can do.
Tell me a little bit about the part towards the end of the battle when the 13 gun went around that pill-shaped island and kind of found itself alone against 2 enemy 8 guns. Was that like a worry moment for you? Were you sweating a little bit there, or were you feeling still very confident that the total mess that had happened amongst all of the 8 guns? Actually, you know what? I'm sorry. I'm going to take it back. I want to talk real fast about your 8 guns just barreling in to the side of the RBF's 8 gun line. What was your motive for that? And then we can talk about what the 13 gun did after.
So when the RBF did enter into the islands, we had a good angle to where we could focus down the enemy 13. And that was the shot call of angle yourselves, focus it down, bring it down. And I saw that the enemy 8s were starting to get closer and closer on us. And I was just like, don't worry about them. Focus on the 8s. We'll cut through their line if we have to. So we got the enemy 13 down and out. I was about to send the gunboats in after it as well, to just be like, take it out no matter the cost. And then I saw that the melee was going to happen, so I just told my 8 guns, like, hey, if you can, just barrel through them and turn it into a melee. If they demasked us, oh well, we'll still focus firing. And I saw that we were still trying to focus fire here and there where we can. It was a lot of chaos, a lot of fun. And I saw, they beat us in the carpenter duel. Yes, it happens.
Yeah, they sure
So-
did. That was awesome. We'll get to asking them a lot about their
Yeah. So
carpenter
you saw that
strategies,
8 gun and R13 that were kind of off by themselves. They were starting
Yes.
to approach the pill-shaped island. And I was really thinking when I saw the enemy ships, like, okay, I do want my 13 to go around the pill shape, get an angle, and then just fight it out. I was a little concerned, but at that point, I was just like, I think we can just win this by attrition.
Yeah.
So I took the risk. I ordered Mika to go around to fight it out, and I tried to get the 8 guns that could support to support, and then I had White Frost that was parked in front of the pill shape to be like, hey, just stay here, start sniping away at them, chipping away, and then I pulled in. I eventually told my gunboats to do the same, like, hey, don't worry about that enemy gunboat that's kind of in our lines, just focus fire that one, and then just keep, and then we just kept doing that, kept turning our ships into just stationary gun batteries to just be like, hey, angle your ship, focus fire on the target, bring him down.
Nice. Well, it was a really, really great victory. I want to pass it over to Safe. Safe, do you have any questions for our victorious admiral?
As a fellow admiral in the sky, how do you do with your captains in terms of, do you ever have those moments where you give an order and then the other captains just go, huh?
A little bit, because because depending on the order, it can be interpreted differently. I mean, for anyone here that has been military service, there are drills that you can actually do to where you give an order to a private and they pass it on down the line, and you hear what the order is reported at the end of the line. You can get a lot of funny stuff from that lesson. And so that's what, for being eye in the sky now, I was trying to make my orders a lot more clear, trying to give better directions, like, hey, everyone turn around, start forming up to this direction, aim between these 2 islands. Like, I was trying to give more and more clear orders as time went on, because it does take a lot of just practice. And if someone says, what do you mean? Then I try to direct more particularly, like, hey, you aim your ship a little bit more to the right or something like that. It takes a little bit of time. And this is our first time where we're doing eye in the sky, and then we're doing split comms. So the captain's having their own chat where we can talk, and then each ship having its own channel to handle internal ship comms.
Well, I've got nothing else, Merc.
Very good. Well, then a congratulations to you, Muffin and Dan, for an exceptionally great victory. Didn't lose a capital ship. And I have to say, watching you guys you guys have always just really like I root for you guys every time I see you guys play, because in the beginning you guys were you guys were a little crazy, and then and your evolution over the course of the preseason season one has really shown that you guys have some of the best admiralty, some of the best captaining, some of the best cannoneering. I mean, you are in every way worthy of being considered a top team in the league and in Holdfast, and it's been really amazing to watch you guys really grow into that. And with the addition of guys like the VOC and the HLG, I see you guys just continuously punching up in this league, and I'm so excited. I'm excited to fight you personally. I can't wait till our next battle. So congrats today.
Our first
And
battle, not next. First.
is it really? Is it really
It
our
will
first
be our
battle?
first battle.
Oh, it's gonna be
We
such a
haven't
good
fought
battle.
yet.
It's going to be such a great battle. I can't wait. All right. Well, thank you, gentlemen, and congratulations again. We will turn now to our representatives for the Royal Black Fleet. I think Frankie and Splunker. Is that who I'm seeing here?
Yep.
How you doing, guys? Sorry for the loss today, but there were lots of moments to be proud of for you guys. We talked a little earlier about some just excellent boarding actions and demassings that you guys had earlier. But I want to take you back a little bit to after that first brush that you guys had where you were firing over each other at the islands. Each team broke away, and then you guys were the aggressors. You had the wind, and you charged in with it. Now we have, you've heard us talking. I think the 13 gun being the lead was a risk for sure. What was the reward that you were looking to get out of that with the 13 gun first, or is that just kind of how the ships ended up being when you were charging in?
It's just kind of how the ships ended up being as we were pulling back. We thought we would try and go in and win the initial fight. We had a couple gunboats that we had wanted to have screen the fleet, but I think there was a little miscommunication there, and they actually went in balls deep, kind of.
We found out that we had the point advantage, and that's why you saw us turn away. And it was unfortunate that we discovered that when we turned away, our gunboats decided to go in for as you might recall, as a tear, and they kind of went a bit too far, and because of that, we lost the point advantage, forcing us to be the aggressor, which is not what we wanted.
Gotcha. Yeah. So you guys are still on get point advantage, and then just let them come to us for the rest of the game. That's still your sort of doctrine, like it was. I remember that's something that you had brought to the game with the Leviathans as well.
We tried to evaluate the map because this is the same setup. Obviously, they were on this team, on this map, on the same place. Yeah. And we tried to evaluate that by watching the recordings of that matchup and trying to plan ahead. And we basically deduced that the best outcome for us would be to try to make sure that we don't get tied into those island chains as best we can, get the points if they're playing defensively, and just kind of make them come to us. It was just unfortunate that the gunboat duels and everything that happened kind of forced our hand to abandon that plot, so we had to move aggressively. Yeah. And as you said earlier, they were forming up to meet us at the break point, and we thought that we would have the speed at least to move in, but we had to move quickly. Typically, we don't like to put our 13 gun in the front for obvious reasons. It slows us down, right? But it's just because of the lineup of the ship, we just couldn't waste the time.
Yeah, you needed the speed is what you were looking for there.
We just couldn't waste the time. So we had to break through, and when we did, it was just an all-out brawl. And listen, I have a bad habit of speaking from the heart on this sort of thing. I'll say this. I'm proud that everyone kept comms clear, was level-headed, and was just trying to do the best they can. I'm proud of that. I just think that everyone was just so hopped up on our last two wins and was just too excited to get in there and tear. And eventually we did tear. I hope this match was very entertaining.
It was. I mean, we just watched mast after mast after mast after mast go down, and it really goes to show that I think from the 38 side, the SCP38 side, they seemed willing to sacrifice 8 guns to disrupt you guys, and yet when they did so, you made them like really sacrifice those by just like making those guys into battle barges right off the bat, and so I think that level of aggression and all that tearing, if you just had your 13, I mean, that would have been a whole different ball game. That a 13 gun just like throwing shots in from the periphery of a battle while you got that rip and tear going, it's a whole different result for you guys, I think. And it's unfortunate that you lost that 13 gun nice and early. And
I need to ask a question to one of the representatives from SCP. I need to know. I'm dying to know. How much health did the 13 gun have?
We weren't that. We were slightly low, like maybe
I'd say
right
like
around
20,
a quarter, I think. Right around a quarter.
yeah, maybe like
maybe a
20,
fifth. Yeah.
20% is probably what I would say from
Mhm.
having watched it from the sky.
Yeah, that looks
I
about
honestly
right.
thought that your 8 guns were going to win that engagement, but I thought it would be worth the risk. Honestly, I,
Well,
that's
and then
what I
what
was
happened is
thinking.
you sunk one of their 8 guns, and then the other one just peeled off. He was like, "I'm not staying for this," and he left. And so you won it. You won it. You did win it. But yeah, Safe. I want to pass over to you. Any questions for the Royal Blacks?
When when your gunboats were first going in, it seemed like they had a really good position to get at those backboards, and then their gunboats swung around and confronted you. Now I hear that you're saying that the gunboats overcommitted to the attack. Um, do you know what you might do in the future to sort of mitigate or prevent that sort of miscommunication from happening again?
I wouldn't say it was even miscommunication because we were
communicated it. I
we were
just don't think
communicating
they're-
that we did not want them to do that. But I understand that. I understand that when you're you see something and you want it, you just feel like you can just quickly grab it and no one will notice. I feel like because like you said, they had a good position, they could potentially get some cheeky shots in, get us more points. Because we told them like, hey, we're pulling away, we got the points, let's try to make them come to us, and they were saying, okay, we're gonna take out this gunboat here. Then the gunboat sank, and we're like, oh, okay, well, that kind of throws a wrench into that. And then after that, they're like, oh, there's a enemy gunboat that's really low. Let us take out that. And then that didn't. I mean, I'm assuming it happened eventually. I think I took it out. I think it came around the island, and I broadsided it with one of the 8 guns.
Both of our gunboats went down before they lost one.
So it was like we listened to our gunboat captains telling us like, no, 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 it's okay, we can fix this. And it just didn't pan out that well for them. And we love our gunboat captains. I don't want to like throw them too much under the bus, but it was just because of the fact that we lost our point advantage that we had, that it forced us to make moves that we didn't want to make.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Splunker, that's what I wanted you guys to do. I wanted your gunboats to commit. I was telling my gunboat captain, stay with the 13, stay close, let them come to us, and then we'll wheel and hit them.
Too hot-blooded. They wanted blood. They wanted to tear. I still got wood chips in my teeth, man. Those masks were tasty.
It's gunboaters, man. These gunboater guys, they're wild. They're they do love to tear, and I thought that your tearing was pretty great today, all things considered. But Safe, anything else for the Royal Black Fleet?
Nothing that hasn't already been covered.
Great. Well, folks, a great battle today. Very climactic, lots of action, which we always really appreciate here from guys, and it really showed how to make a defense active and turn it to your advantage, and really make a great show. So I'm sure the audience really thanks you for a great one today, from both teams. And we will see you guys in future battles, no doubt. And let me take a look really quick and tell you what's coming up next week. Next week, Safe, do you have that up? Let's see. We've got the Jackals versus the Krakens. Jackals versus the Krakens next week, week 19. So come back for that, folks. We are very much looking forward to joining you for that one. And Safe, it's been a pleasure co-hosting with you. And thanks so much to the team for putting together another great broadcast. Everyone who is watching, thanks so much for joining us. Make sure that you check us out not only here on Twitch, but you can also check out our YouTube channel. We've actually just recently put up some social media channels on, I think, Blue Sky, on Instagram, on TikTok. We're trying to get the word out here about the NSL. So if you look us up on any of those, you're not going to see anything huge been unveiled yet, just some teaser trailers for some of these battles. But we're trying to get the word out so that this can have a bigger audience and we can have more people to enjoy the great fun that we have here. So I hope that you'll find us on social media, share anything that we put out, and really help us to continue to build this project so that it's bigger and better, and we can provide you this for years to come. And I hope you've enjoyed today's battle. Again, Safe, thanks so much for joining me today. And why don't you usher us out here, Safe?
Well, it's been a pleasure, everyone. Have a good night, a good afternoon, and good luck.